Humanity had always been an anomaly in the eyes of the Galactic Federation. The Federation, an entity composed of the most advanced species in the known galaxy, adhered to a rigid set of rules and regulations designed to maintain peace, order, and safety across the stars. One of these rules, universally followed by every species in the Federation, was the mandatory safety briefing. Every time a species embarked on a new venture, whether it be space exploration, interplanetary combat, or any other dangerous task, they were required to undergo a thorough safety briefing. It was a precaution, a guarantee that all involved would be aware of the risks and protocols in place to protect them. But not humans. Humans were the only species allowed to skip these safety briefings. The reason, known only to a select few, was not immediately obvious to newcomers. The Federation operated on logic, order, and structure, yet when it came to humans, something more complex and inexplicable seemed to be at play. The Galactic Federation had been established millennia ago, and since then, the galaxy's species had learned to coexist with one another, forming alliances, trade routes, and diplomatic treaties. Every species, regardless of their technological prowess or evolutionary status, followed the same set of rules. There were no exceptions, no bending of the rules, except for the humans. It wasn't that humans were physically superior, at least not in the way other species were. They didn't possess the biological enhancements of the Venari, nor the hyperintelligence of the Eldrazi. Humans were not the strongest, nor the most scientifically advanced. Yet, they had quickly made their mark in the Federation. Their ships were fast, their weapons lethal, and their soldiers were often considered among the most dangerous and unpredictable entities in the galaxy. Some species saw humans as a threat, others as a curiosity, but all acknowledged their presence. The Federation leadership, though, took a different view. They recognized something about humanity that no other species had quite grasped, an intrinsic quality that couldn't be measured by mere statistics or metrics. It was their audacity, their refusal to accept limits, their unyielding drive to succeed against all odds. Humans didn't play by the rules. That wasn't just a metaphor. They literally broke every rule they encountered, and somehow they always managed to come out on top. This quality had long baffled other species, who view their actions as reckless, even foolish. Yet it was impossible to ignore that time and time again, humans found a way to turn disaster into victory. The Federation's decision to grant humans the unique privilege of skipping safety briefings wasn't based on favoritism. It wasn't because humans were seen as superior, nor because their technology outclassed others. It was because the Federation had come to realize that humans simply couldn't be bound by the same protocols as everyone else. Their ability to thrive in conditions that would break other species was unparalleled. It wasn't about strength, speed, or intellect. It was about their resilience and their willingness to face the impossible. To the Federation, the exemption was simple. Humans were unpredictable, yes, but in that unpredictability lay their strength. Where other species might falter in the face of danger, humans ran toward it. They didn't just survive in impossible conditions. They adapted, overcame, and ultimately dominated whatever challenge stood before them. And in the rare instances where they didn't succeed, they came back with an even greater resolve, ready to try again until they did. For a newcomer to the Federation, this was a baffling concept. Why would any species be allowed to skip such an important safety measure? Why would the Federation, a body known for its strict adherence to protocol, grant such an exemption to a species known for its impetuousness? The answer, of course, was buried deep in the history of humanity's rise to power, in their first forays into space, and in their unrelenting will to survive at all costs. It had started with the earliest human space missions. At first, humanity had been a fledgling species, not much different from others in the galaxy. Their technology was rudimentary, their ships small and fragile. But they had a unique drive, an unquenchable thirst to explore the unknown. The first human missions into space were perilous, their survival a testament to human ingenuity. Every time they sent out a ship, it was a gamble. The risks were immense, and the odds were always stacked against them. Yet they persisted. They found ways to adapt, to innovate, and to survive. They built better ships, devised more effective strategies, and learned from every failure. With each new mission, they defied expectations. Their resilience, their ability to find solutions where none seemed possible, earned them a place in the Federation. And then, as their influence grew, so did their reputation. Despite their early technological limitations, humans rapidly advanced. They entered into war with species far more powerful than themselves and, against all odds, emerged victorious. They took on the most dangerous assignments, fought in galactic conflicts, and survived catastrophes that would have wiped out other species. And every time, they learned, adapted, and grew stronger. Their rapid rise was nothing short of astonishing. Other species marveled at the sheer determination of humanity, while some were alarmed by the unpredictability of their methods. It was not uncommon for humans to approach problems in ways no one else would consider, often opting for a brute force approach or a completely unorthodox solution. They didn't rely on rigid doctrines or established rules. Instead, they improvised and adapted, making decisions in the heat of the moment that other species would balk at. In war, this meant that humans often fought unpredictably, using strategies that caught their enemies off guard. In diplomacy, they were known for their boldness and directness, rarely following the usual protocols. Their economy was similarly erratic, thriving on innovation and risk-taking, often abandoning established systems in favor of new, experimental methods. But it was not just their military prowess or economic success that set them apart. It was their willingness to face danger head-on. Other species feared risks, valued safety, and adhered to rules. Humans, on the other hand, were known to embrace danger, to run towards it, even when it seemed certain death awaited them. Their ability to survive and thrive in the most dangerous of circumstances was something the Federation couldn't ignore. Other species might have seen it as reckless, but to the Federation, it was clear that humanity's resilience was what made them stand out. The Federation had grown to understand that when it came to humans, the normal rules didn't apply. Their survival wasn't just a matter of luck, it was their nature. And so, the Federation made an unprecedented. And so, humanity continued to carve out its place in the Federation, forever defying the odds, and forever earning the right to skip the safety briefings that everyone else adhered to so strictly. The Federation's strict adherence to safety protocols was universally known and non-negotiable. Every species that joined the intergalactic body had to comply with these regulations, and they were comprehensive. These protocols ensured the safety of everyone involved in space travel, military operations, and any other potentially hazardous activities. Safety briefings were mandatory, and failure to attend or comply with the instructions could lead to severe consequences. It wasn't just a formality, it was a matter of life and death. For most species, the safety briefing served as a critical part of their operations. Each race, no matter how advanced, underwent a thorough briefing before embarking on any new venture that posed risks. The content of these briefings was universally standardized. They covered the dangers of the mission, proper procedures to follow, emergency exits, and all necessary safety equipment. Every species, whether they were the highly intelligent Venari, the enormous and powerful Zorax, or the fragile Arcthei, followed the same protocols. The purpose was clear: to ensure that no matter the environment, every individual knew how to respond to the threats posed by space travel or dangerous situations. The Federation, in its wisdom, had determined long ago that such protocols were essential. Even the most technologically advanced species could make mistakes, especially when faced with unfamiliar challenges. Therefore, each species was required to attend safety briefings before engaging in any activity that could result in harm. The Federation's vast bureaucracy ensured these rules were followed without exception. These briefings, tailored to each species' unique biology, would help to prevent fatalities, malfunctions, or even the destruction of entire colonies. So why, then, were humans allowed to skip them? This was the question that puzzled many newcomers to the Federation. Species who had adhered to the regulations for centuries couldn't fathom the reasoning behind such an exemption. From an outsider's perspective, the idea that one species could simply opt out of safety protocols seemed reckless, even dangerous. The humans, after all, were not particularly unique in terms of physical strength or intelligence. In fact, many species considered them primitive when compared to their own advanced capabilities. Despite this, humans had earned a reputation that set them apart. To the Federation leadership, the question of why they were exempt from safety briefings was not one of whether they should follow the rules, but rather one of practicality. The truth was that the Federation had tried, and failed, to impose the same safety protocols on humanity. Time and again, humans had managed to defy expectations, survive calamities, and adapt to environments that would have broken other species. To the point where it became clear, no safety briefing could truly prepare them for the risks they took, nor could any protocol prevent them from succeeding when they decided to. Humans, as the Federation leaders saw it, did not require safety briefings because they were simply too unpredictable. Their survival wasn't guaranteed by knowledge of procedures or adherence to safety regulations. Humans survived by instinct, by their ability to adapt to their surroundings in ways that no other species could. They didn't follow the rules, and yet they succeeded. To understand this, one had to look at humanity's first ventures into space. Early space missions were a disaster by the standards of any other species. Their ships were crude and inefficient. The technology was far behind that of other Federation species. Yet humans didn't allow this to deter them. When they launched their first expeditions into the unknown, they did so without the benefit of the safety protocols that other species relied on. Their ships were poorly designed, their navigation systems primitive, and their communication devices outdated. Despite these deficiencies, humans pressed on, always finding a way to adapt. They learned from every failure. A ship might crash, but they would recover the wreckage and study it until they could understand what went wrong. When a mission failed, they would regroup, redesign their technology, and try again. Unlike other species, who might have accepted failure as a part of life, humans rejected it outright. Each failure became a stepping stone, not a barrier. And with each attempt, they grew more capable, more resilient, and more determined. It wasn't just their survival that was remarkable, it was their ability to innovate. Every setback forced humans to come up with new ideas, new methods, and new solutions. Their ships grew faster, their weapons more powerful, and their technology more advanced. Humans were the only species that could break all the rules and still thrive. They had an innate ability to innovate in real time, crafting solutions to problems on the fly. Their ingenuity was unmatched, and no amount of safety training could have prepared them for the kind of thinking required to solve the problems they encountered. Other species often looked at humans with a mixture of confusion and admiration. While the Zorax may have been able to design massive, impenetrable fortresses, it was the humans who would figure out a way to destroy them. While the Archaea might have created biologically superior soldiers, it was humans who would devise a strategy to outsmart them. This unique quality, the human ability to adapt and think outside the box, had earned them respect, but it also created tension among other species. Some saw humans as an unpredictable force that could not be controlled, while others recognized the value of such a resource. After all, no matter how risky or reckless their actions seemed, humans always seemed to come out on top. Their ability to face danger head-on and adapt in the midst of chaos was something no other species could replicate. The Federation, then, was faced with a choice. While the other species followed the safety protocols, humans could not be forced into the same mold. The human approach to risk wasn't reckless in the way other species understood it. They had learned to embrace danger, not because they were invincible, but because they were willing to push past the boundaries that other species set for themselves. Their survival was not a matter of following protocols, but of defying them and finding new ways to succeed. This was the rationale behind the Federation's decision to grant humans the right to skip safety briefings. It wasn't that they thought humans were above the rules. It was simply that no safety briefing could truly prepare them for the risks they were willing to take. Humans didn't need instructions to survive. They didn't need safety protocols to guide them. They had something far more valuable, a relentless drive to succeed, no matter the odds. For other species, the idea of skipping safety briefings was absurd. Safety protocols were there to ensure that everyone was protected, that no one was exposed to unnecessary risks. To skip them seemed like an invitation for disaster. Yet humans, for reasons that no one could fully understand, seemed to defy the very laws of survival. They thrived in conditions that would have destroyed others. And so, the Federation had no choice but to grant them this unique exemption. Because when it came to humans, no rule could ever truly apply. Humanity's rise within the Galactic Federation wasn't just about technology, strength, or intellect. It was about their ability to thrive in situations that would have spelled certain doom for any other species. While most species followed the safety protocols to ensure their survival, humans had proven time and time again that they didn't need such precautions. Their unique approach to risk and danger was the reason they had earned the Federation's trust, though it had also raised the question of whether such an approach was sustainable. It wasn't that humans didn't face danger. In fact, danger seemed to follow them wherever they went. Whether it was in the cold vacuum of space, on hostile alien worlds, or in the heat of battle, humans were constantly putting themselves in perilous situations. But unlike other species, who would have turned back at the first sign of trouble, humans surged forward. They saw danger not as a threat to avoid, but as a challenge to overcome. Take, for example, their first missions to space. When humans first ventured beyond their homeworld, their technology was rudimentary at best. Their ships were far from the sophisticated craft that other species used, and their understanding of space travel was limited. They faced a multitude of dangers: unpredictable space debris, hostile environments, and the ever-present threat of catastrophic failure. Yet, despite the odds, humans pressed on. They didn't hesitate, they didn't retreat. Instead, they adapted and found solutions to the problems they faced, often in ways no one else had ever considered. They had to, because for them, failure wasn't an option. There was no safety net, no protocol to follow. They made mistakes, of course, but each mistake became an opportunity to improve, to adapt, and to push forward. This relentless drive to overcome adversity became the hallmark of humanity's presence in the galaxy. As their spacefaring capabilities grew, so did the challenges they faced. When humanity entered the realm of interplanetary war, they were often outgunned and outnumbered by far more powerful species. The Zorax, with their towering physiques and advanced weaponry, could crush human forces with ease, or so it seemed. Yet time and again, humans found ways to turn the tide. They didn't fight with sheer strength or superior technology. They fought with cunning, resourcefulness, and an unwavering belief that victory was always within reach. The Federation, composed of species that valued precision, protocol, and calculated action, had initially struggled to understand the human approach. It was chaotic, risky, and often illogical. Humans would charge into battle without the meticulous planning that other species deemed necessary. They might throw everything they had at a problem, even if the odds were slim. And yet, against all expectations, they often succeeded. They adapted in ways that others could not. They were willing to take risks others would never consider, and it paid off time and again. There was one particularly infamous example of human ingenuity that even the Federation could not ignore. During a conflict with the Venari, a race known for their strategic brilliance and perfect precision, humans were deployed in what seemed like a suicide mission. The Venari had superior forces, a well-planned strategy, and every advantage in the battle. But the humans had a different strategy altogether. They didn't follow the usual rules. Instead of trying to match the Venari's tactics head-on, they disrupted their systems, threw them off balance, and created chaos. They infiltrated communication networks, altered their navigation systems, and introduced such unpredictability into the Venari's ranks that it rendered their carefully constructed plans useless. The Venari were disoriented and unable to adapt quickly enough to the constant surprises. In the end, the human forces emerged victorious, not through superior numbers or firepower, but through a radical and unexpected approach. The Federation was forced to acknowledge that humans could fight in ways no one else could. Their ability to think outside the box, to improvise and create chaos in the midst of war, was a weapon that no other species could replicate. But it wasn't just in war that humans proved their value. Their adaptability in every aspect of life was what set them apart. When they encountered dangerous alien environments, they didn't hesitate. They didn't rely solely on pre-established methods of survival. Instead, they created new technologies, adapted to local conditions, and, when necessary, redesigned entire ecosystems to suit their needs. Where other species would have considered retreating, humans found ways to survive and, more often than not, thrive. Whether it was terraforming barren planets or navigating through cosmic storms, humans used their resourcefulness and creativity to overcome every challenge. Even in the face of death, humans didn't falter. They had developed a reputation for perseverance, for the sheer will to survive against all odds. Their refusal to back down in the face of overwhelming adversity was legendary. During a particularly harsh expedition to an uncharted system, a human crew was trapped in a collapsing star system. Their ship was severely damaged, the crew was injured, and the environment was hostile to human life. The Federation had written off the mission as a lost cause, yet the humans refused to give up. They repaired their vessel, used their knowledge of alien technology to stabilize the systems, and found a way to escape the star's imminent collapse. They emerged from the catastrophe not only alive, but with critical data that advanced human understanding of stellar dynamics. This unshakable will to survive, this instinctual drive to adapt and overcome, was something no safety briefing could ever prepare any other species for. The Federation's leaders knew this. They knew that no amount of training, no amount of preparation, could account for what humans were capable of. It wasn't just about following procedures. It was about the human spirit, the refusal to accept defeat in the face of insurmountable odds. And this was why humans were given the right to skip the safety briefings. Other species needed their protocols, their carefully laid out plans, because they couldn't adapt as quickly or as radically as humans could. Safety briefings worked for them because they needed structure. But for humans, the very concept of structure was secondary to the idea of overcoming the impossible. They didn't need instructions. They needed the freedom to think, to improvise, and to act without hesitation. It wasn't that the Federation didn't worry about the risks. They did. Every time humans embarked on a mission without a safety briefing, there was the potential for disaster. But the Federation had come to understand that no briefing could truly prepare humans for the situations they would face. Humans thrived on unpredictability. They took risks because, for them, risks were opportunities. The Federation had learned this lesson the hard way, and after many failed attempts to force humans to adhere to the same protocols as everyone else, they finally accepted the reality. Humans simply operated differently. And so, while other species followed the rules, humanity continued to carve its own path, one defined by their unrelenting will, their ingenious solutions, and their uncanny ability to thrive in the face of danger. Despite the Federation's best efforts to impose uniformity across its member species, humans stood as an undeniable testament to the unpredictability of life itself. They had earned the unique privilege of bypassing the mandatory safety briefings, a decision that seemed baffling to many, yet had proven its worth time and again. The more the Federation observed humanity, the more it became clear, no matter the situation, humans would find a way to succeed, even if that success defied conventional logic or safety protocols. This phenomenon raised important questions. Was humanity's success truly a result of their unparalleled ingenuity, or was there something else at play? The Federation had long prided itself on its ability to ensure the safety and well-being of its members, but with humans, it often felt as though the rules didn't apply. Their success was not always driven by superior technology or meticulous planning. In fact, their triumphs often came from raw instinct, unconventional thinking, and a refusal to accept failure. When other species faced danger, they typically relied on long-standing principles and strategies. They had studied the risks, calculated every possible outcome, and prepared accordingly. The Zorax, for example, with their immense physical strength, took a direct approach to threats, confident that their might would prevail. The Venari, known for their strategic brilliance, focused on planning every detail of a mission to ensure victory. These species believed in control, precision, and preparation. For them, safety briefings were a vital step in mitigating risks, ensuring everyone knew what to expect and how to react. But humans didn't operate that way. Instead of calculating every possible risk, they dove into situations with a certain reckless confidence. They didn't rely on meticulous planning or predictable solutions. When faced with an obstacle, humans found new and creative ways to deal with it, often surprising even themselves with their ability to think on their feet. This trait, though often seen as impulsive, was a source of admiration and sometimes frustration within the Federation. It wasn't just their refusal to follow the established rules, it was their resilience, their ability to turn any situation into an opportunity for success, no matter how dire. In many ways, humanity's ability to survive and thrive in the face of danger was a direct result of their cultural mindset. From their earliest days, humans had been taught to embrace uncertainty, to adapt quickly, and to learn from every experience. There was no safety net, no second chance. If they fell, they got back up and tried again. This mindset was ingrained in every facet of human life, from their exploration of space to their military strategies. Unlike other species, who often relied on careful calculation and preparation, humans thrived on flexibility and adaptability. In the aftermath of a particularly dangerous mission, a group of Federation diplomats gathered to discuss the increasing influence of humanity. They debated whether the Federation had made the right decision by allowing humans to skip the safety briefings. The discussion was heated, with some arguing that humanity's approach to risk was unsustainable and others defending the idea that humans had a unique gift for overcoming challenges. One diplomat from the Venari, who had spent years studying human tactics, offered a thought-provoking perspective. Humans don't survive by following the rules, they survive by rewriting them. And perhaps that is what sets them apart. Indeed, humanity's ability to redefine the rules as they went along was what made them so unpredictable, yet so effective. In battle, they didn't rely on the same predictable tactics as other species. They didn't follow the same protocols or play by the same expectations. They were often described as wild cards, dangerous, erratic, but incredibly effective. The Zorax might have had brute strength, and the Venari their unmatched strategic mind, but humans had an almost instinctive ability to disrupt the status quo. They broke the mold and found a way to win. The Federation's decision to exempt humans from safety briefings wasn't based on favoritism. It was based on the recognition that no amount of preparation could ever truly account for the ways in which humanity operated. Humans didn't need to be told how to react in an emergency. They didn't need to memorize procedures or safety protocols. They had developed the rare ability to adapt to anything the galaxy threw at them. Their survival was not determined by their knowledge of the risks or the measures taken to avoid them. It was determined by their ability to face adversity head-on and find a way to overcome it. This unique quality had implications beyond the military and scientific fields. It extended to human diplomacy, commerce, and culture. Where other species adhered to carefully established conventions, humans often took a more direct approach. They didn't wait for permission to act. They took risks, made bold moves, and created opportunities where others saw none. This wasn't just a characteristic of individual humans, it was a defining feature of their species as a whole. Whether in the most dangerous battlefields or the most delicate negotiations, humans consistently proved that their greatest strength lay in their unpredictability and their refusal to be bound by convention. The Federation, despite its initial reluctance, had come to embrace this quality. Though they still found the human approach to risk troubling at times, they had learned to respect it. There were moments when humanity's reckless bravery had turned the tide in galactic conflicts, saving not just human lives, but the lives of countless others. Their ability to step into the unknown, without the crutches of safety protocols, had led to some of the most decisive victories the galaxy had ever known. When humanity embraced a challenge, they often achieved the impossible. This didn't mean that humans were invincible or immune to failure. In fact, their history was filled with struggles and setbacks. But what set them apart was their refusal to be defined by failure. When they stumbled, they learned. When they fell, they got back up. They were not defined by their mistakes. They were defined by their resolve to overcome them. This resilience was the heart of humanity's success, and it was the reason they had earned the right to skip the safety briefings. In the end, The Federation realized that the very thing that made humanity so difficult to understand was the same thing that made them invaluable: their willingness to face the unknown without hesitation, their ability to thrive in the face of chaos, and their capacity to adapt when everything seemed lost. Humans didn't need safety briefings. They didn't need rules. They simply needed the chance to prove, time and again, that they could overcome anything, no matter the odds. And as long as humanity continued to prove itself, the Federation would continue to give them that chance, trusting that in their unpredictability lay their greatest strength.